Hey everyone, Tech Me As I Am is here at Forbes BLK Summit. Welcome to Tech Me As I Am's Founders Cut, where we dive in and we're giving you the inside scoop and the vulnerable moments at conferences and events. Why are we doing this? Because I honestly wanted to kickstart more healing within our communities. And what better way to do that than going in the trenches when we're all in community and coming together and having these conversations off the rip. So we actually went to Forbes BLK Summit where we interviewed founders and we shared their stories. And these aren't the cute little fluffy fairies and rainbow stories like, hey, how did you get there? What did you do to get your brand where it's at today? I'm tired of those type of questions. I'm tired of those type of answers. It's too optic friendly for me. I want people. I want humans. So the first in the lineup that we had was Philomena. She's a founder. She's a contestant who won on Shark Tank. Go ahead, girl. And she's from the Bronx. She calls it the Boogie Down Bronx. And your girl was just raised by any and everything Ghana. She's Ghanaian. Which made this even more special for me because I'm working on building my own Ghana life. So when you talk about alignment, this really created more space for her and I to be able to be more intimate and have a real life vulnerable conversation. So we actually dive into this chat about this dope brand and company that she's building or has built, not building, built, called Apparel. And these are satin lined hoodies and hats. You probably have seen her on Instagram. I know I did. The whole mission behind the brand is protecting our hair because she just looked around and said, nobody's doing this for us. Nobody's making this for us. So I guess I'm going to be the one that's going to do it. And that's the type of energy that we need to be doing in general, because when you are the change and you become the change and you see the change, that's when the magic really happens. So she was that change. We pulled her in for an interview to come and speak with us. Most times people think it's going to be the standard interview process. Like they're like, oh yeah, I'm ready. You know, what do you want to know about like the business? How do we get where we got today? Like I said, we're here to create vulnerable moments, not the stuff you're supposed to talk about, because that's not, to me, in my personal opinion, where we're going to be going to learn, how we're going to be creating space to heal out loud. It's not giving us the opportunity to live in a world that I really believe we all want to truly live in at our core, which is creating opportunities for us to all feel safe. Because when we open up and we really share the real and we have the real conversations that we don't plan for and we just converse in its organic form, the performing stops. And honestly, like I said, that's where the magic happens. So this is Tech Me As I Am and us healing out loud.
My name is Philomena Kane. I'm from the Boogie Down Bronx, New York. You already know. So I am the proud owner of Kin Apparel. We make satin-lined hoodies and hats for hair protection and comfort. So I started this brand back in college, actually. My hair was falling out because I was not taking care of it and I was stressed. So I decided to chop it all off and start my natural hair journey. And when I tell you I was so obsessed with hair care, as my hair grew back, I realized there was no hoodie or hat that fitted, let alone protected it. So fast forward in 2020, I started Kin Apparel.
So one of my favorite questions that I like to ask founders, and to be honest, I can tell you, it can tell you a lot about a person by the way that they do their business, by the way they answer this question, in my opinion. And the reason is because it tells you a lot about how they attach themselves to their business. So here's what I asked. I said, what part of your identity did you have to embrace most to build what you're building? Because a lot of founders, like I said, will give you that LinkedIn answer. I saw a gap in the market. I identified an opportunity and I was just the first one there. Okay, cool. But who are you though? And a lot of times people don't tell you who they are. And Philomena did not give me that. She gave me her grandmother.
So I would say my Ghanaian culture is what I embraced the most with starting my brand, right? So I was raised by my grandmother in Ghana, and Grandma Mary, in addition to caring me when I got really sick with malaria, she was also a very compassionate person that just taught me to always have faith in humanity, faith in myself, and just be a really compassionate, empathetic person, right? So growing up, I've always just been right by her side. I consider myself her last born. And throughout Kin Apparel, you will see the Ghanaian culture all throughout, like our satin designs. Like a lot of our satin has the kente print on it in different colors to just put Ghana out there and on the map as well.
You see what I'm saying? She didn't say market research. She didn't say, total addressable market, even though those are necessary components. She said Grandma Mary. And that's the thing about founders who build from their identity The product is never just the product. It's who raised you, what you had to survive, what you refused to let go of, what problem you were solving for yourself to really help other people. That kente print in the satin, that's not a design. That's her saying, I'm putting Ghana on everything I touch, and I don't need your permission to do it. There's nothing you can do but give mad respect to that, period. Like, that's her in her business. That is who she is. All right, so then, we hear this all the time. Bring your whole self to work. Show up authentically. And every time I hear that, Lord knows, and people that know me know, I am allergic to hearing, bring your authentic self to work. Do you really? Do you really want me to bring my authentic self to work? Or do you want me to be palatable? Do you want me to make you feel comfortable? Because those are two different things. So I asked her, in this situation as a founder, what does it actually look like to bring your full self into your business, right? Especially when we are in a world that's actively telling us to shrink. Here's what she had to say.
Ooh, bringing my full self into my business, honestly, that looks like me putting myself first. I feel like as a founder, especially as a Black woman-owned business, a lot of the times, if you let the weight of the world get to you, you're not really gonna move far. So one thing I really prioritize is my wellness and my health and my walk with Christ, right? So there's this quote that goes, a business doesn't die when the entrepreneur runs out of money. It dies when the entrepreneur runs out of energy. So I'm always prioritizing my health, my prayers, the gym, my support system. I keep very godly people around me, right? So that I'm always in a good mindset and a productive and a positive mindset always. So yeah, it looks like me making sure I'm good, because when I don't show up as my full authentic self, my business is not gonna go anywhere.
Stop. Rewind that. She said what? A business doesn't die when the entrepreneur runs out of money. It dies when the entrepreneur runs out of energy. Okay, I'm gonna sit y'all in that right now. Let's sit with that for a second, because she's not talking about grinding harder. She's not talking about rise and grind, sleep when you're dead, all that other nonsense. She's talking about her peace. She's talking about her protection. This woman built a whole brand around protecting her hair, but the real protection, that's how she moves. That's how she prays. That's how the people are that she keeps around her. That's the part nobody's talking about in the business strategy and in the business plan. Nobody's talking about these parts. These are the parts that keep you going. These are the parts that keep you alive long enough to see the business actually come to life. So if you're out here running on empty and you thinking, oh, it's gotta be hustle, 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 and this is what hustle looks like, that's how you're gonna burn yourself out. And now you got yourself to blame for it, because you had every chance and opportunity of being able to protect your energy. But if you don't understand what protecting your energy is, first and foremost, and understanding that that's the whole strategy, you are always going to be running on empty. And nobody's going to be able to produce any kind of business running on empty like that. So then I asked about boundaries, because again, when we think about sense of self, when we think about loving ourselves, boundaries is a very important component. So if you're building something and you're visible to all of these people, you're going to need to have some boundaries around you, because people will come out of nowhere to try to get a piece of you. Some people are actually genuine, and they genuinely want to take interest in you and the things that you're doing and seeing how they can support you and grow. And you can tell, you can feel that, your intuition. But then you got them ones that they know. They ain't even being slick about it. They just know, you just know they're there to be vampires and suck you dry. So I asked her, I said, what lines have you had to draw in order to create that space for your boundaries?
Ooh. Dang, a boundary. Honestly, one of my biggest pet peeves is not when people take advantage of me, but when I notice that they are. Like, what you doing? Like, I know what you are doing, right? So I feel like a lot of people can be opportunists in their own ways, and there's different ways to go about it. But if I can blatantly see that, you just want to use me to get to the next level, that's a boundary for me, right? I like to get to know people for who they are. I like to build relationships, friendships, and then let's talk about business, right? I don't like to, at the end of the day, yes, business is business, but I'm not in the business of just doing business with people just because, right? I want us to actually have a relationship. Let's build a relationship first. So a big boundary for me is people just trying to like reach out to me, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? And it's like, nah, let's talk, let's get to know each other. Let's see how we can help each other. So that's something really big for me. And also when people spell my name wrong, I hate that.
Like, take the time. Please take the time. It's right here.
Thank you.
Take
it's
the time.
With an I, not an E.
She said what she said. Spell the name right. So then I asked her another question, and I said, I like to ask founders, what's your I made it moment? But it doesn't look like success from the outside, right? Everybody thinks it's gonna, the I made it moment. Again, like I said, we're here to heal, right? And I know she thought it was gonna be that founder Shark Tank thing, the whole national big TV thing. And she really sat back and was like, that's a good question. You know what she said? She said 2022. She said, God. And then she told me something that I was definitely not ready for.
Wow, amazing question. I'm gonna try to do this without crying because this is a very vulnerable story. But I was raised Christian, I was born Christian, my mom is a pastor, but I never truly had a relationship with God until I found him for myself. And that was back in 2022, right? Why you doing this to me? Shake it.
Let's go.
In 2022, I was dating this guy, and I just didn't really like how it was going. So I made a decision to just cut things off, and I told him. He didn't take it very well because he did really like me, but I just didn't think he was the person for me, right? And this was someone I had known since 2020, and then we actually started dating at the beginning of 2022, right? So the last day I had seen him was February 28th. So the last day in February, and it was a Sunday, and that was the time I was like, hey, I can't do this anymore, and then we cut things off. So fast forward, the same Sunday, 2 weeks later, I had entered the Church of Pentecost for the first time in Philadelphia, because I told myself that in 2022 I really wanted to build a relationship with God, and my aunt was like, Philo, go to the church. So I went that Sunday, right? And the following week on Wednesday, I was getting ready for work and someone was blowing up my Instagram. I'm like, who is this? So I clicked the DM and I'm reading the messages, and it was his best friend. And apparently his ex had came into his apartment and stabbed him to death on that Sunday that I entered the Church of Pentecost for the first time. And her reasoning was, if I can't have you, nobody can. Right? So of course, when I heard that, I was distraught. I was shaking. I was like, wait, what? I used to frequent his apartment. We used to be there all the time. And it was just baffling to me that this was exactly 2 weeks after I said, I can't do this anymore, right? And it was in that moment when I realized I really can't take God for granted, because sometimes we feel like we're doing things with our own volition, but it's actually us obeying God, obeying what he's telling us. And he pulled me out of that situation, right? And I'm so sorry for what happened to him and his family's grief. But I also thank God for saving me too, because that was the moment when I realized that, whoa, I need to really build this relationship. I really need to, and there's one thing to build a relationship with God, but there's also another thing to know the word, right? And to really study the Bible. And I'm just grateful that I'm in that moment of my life. So that's what really looks like success for me.
I love that. She was raised Christian. Mom is a pastor, similar to mine. Again, alignment. But she didn't really know God until she found him for herself in 2022. She was dating this guy, and she knew him since 2020. She decided to end it because she said it just wasn't right, and she didn't think that it was gonna work really well for her. So he didn't take it well. The last time she said she saw him was February 28th, a Sunday. 2 weeks later, the same Sunday that she said she walked into the Church of Pentecost for the first time. The exact day, his ex came into his apartment and said, if I can't have you, nobody else can. That's what she said. 2 weeks. And she stabbed him to death. Now, mind you, she used to be up in this dude's house all the time. The day she walks into the church and gives herself to God and chooses her sense of self is the day that the ex gets stabbed by the ex who said, if I can't have you, nobody else can. Y'all, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I did not know how to handle that. I did not expect this to be what she said. I didn't expect that at all. And I asked questions about success. And I asked questions about things. Like I said, I want vulnerable moments. But when she looked at me and she told me that this man that she used to date, a man whose apartment she used to be in, was killed 2 weeks after she walked away from him, on the same Sunday she walked into church for the first time and gave her life to God. She could have been in there. She could have been in that apartment. Something told her to leave 2 weeks before, to choose herself. She didn't want to be in a toxic situation anymore. And this is what I mean when I say we have to choose ourselves. We have to love ourselves, the God in us. It was something she couldn't explain, but she listened for the first time. She listened. And now she and I are sitting here having a vulnerable moment, tearing up. And all I could think about in my head in that moment was, God said, not this one. She chose self and decided to walk in her purpose. And look where she's at today. You can't make this up. So sometimes the decisions that we make, the ones that we can't fully explain, the ones that don't make sense in that moment, they're not supposed to. They're answers to prayers we didn't even know that we were praying for. She listened and obeyed to something within herself that she couldn't see yet, but it's something that ended up saving her life and allowing her to be with us today, to be able to see amazing products, the amazing businesses she's created, and continue to inspire and enrich the moments of other people that look like us. So here's the thing. Like I had said earlier, my mom was a pastor too. I grew up in the church. I know what it's like firsthand to be raised in faith and still have to find it for yourself on your own terms and in your own way. Hell, I was just having a conversation about this with my son the other day. So sitting with Philomena in that moment where we weren't even doing anything but this interview, it was just two Black women connecting, seeing each other, hearing each other, valuing each other. And I gotta say, people really need to understand the power that you have when you have intimate, real conversation and vulnerable moments with people. Because technically, we're not supposed to do this. Like, culturally, our people are told we don't cry. We gotta be strong. We gotta hold it together. No matter what we do, we don't let nobody see us break, because they'll use it against us and we ain't weak. And honestly, that's the furthest from the truth. That's a weight that it becomes something that we carry. But Philomena sat in that moment with me and said, forget all that. And we saw each other. And that's not a weakness. I don't know anything but to call that power. Power in its most powerful form. It's a superpower. It truly is. She said, this is what joy feels like. And I know it sounds crazy because we're literally crying, but I know she's right. Joy isn't the absence of pain. Joy is the courage to move through it out loud with somebody there bearing witness. Sometimes it's not with anyone bearing witness. It's being able to have it for yourself. But that's what this is. That's what healing out loud means. You don't have to cut out the parts that hurt. You don't have to perform. You don't have to say that I'm fine when you're not. You don't have to be whole to be worthy, because none of us are whole. We are all having different broken pieces of us coming together, and bringing those broken parts to the forefront gives everyone permission to be able to bring their broken pieces too, because that really is what power is. It's the thing that people are most afraid to do. But when we do that is when we do heal out loud, when we do create space, when we do show each other that being perfect is not perfect. And we're not supposed to be perfect. But I need all of us to feel like we can do that. So that was Philomena Quafo, founder of Apparel, Shark Tank winner, granddaughter of Mary, daughter of Ghana, and honestly, one of the most important conversations I've had in a very long time. If this hits you, and I know it hit me. I know it hit me because I was over there boohoo crying behind the camera. If it hit you like it hit me, send this to somebody that you know needs to hear it. Tag somebody who's been holding everything in and pretending that they're not, and can learn from Philomena's story, can learn from being able to accept being okay, not being perfect. And if you're building something out there, a business, a brand, a whole new life, a new start, and somebody along the way has told you to shrink, told you to be less, told you to leave parts of yourself at the door, do not do that. Bring all of it. Bring all the messy parts. Bring the parts that you're still figuring out. Bring the parts that you don't fit in with anybody. Bring the parts of the pieces of you that don't fit in the box. I want those pieces too. We all need those pieces because ain't nobody trying to fit in no boxes around here. We're trying to fit into the boxes that are our own box, right? This is Healing Out Loud, a Founder's Cut. I'm Brittany, and we just getting started, y'all. We just getting started.